when you start to get comfortable with sitting on the sideline and you get comfortable by blaming outside circumstances, blaming other people, or allowing your doubts and fears and insecurities, what happens is you just stifle all growth. You just stop it. What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Vacation Rental Revolution podcast. I'm your host, Shawn, and I'm here with my main man, Dave Sivulich. We're with our Whisky Wednesdays. We've got our drinks poured, ready to have some good conversations about some things going on in the vacation rental world, some hot topics, some questions that are emailed in. And so we'll get started. Dave, you kind of narrate these and have the list of questions. So let's dive into what we've got going today. We try to keep these, those of you that are new to this segment of the Vacation Rental Revolution podcast, is Whisky Wednesdays are short, topic-based, like right to the point on some of the trending topics in the short-term rental world, and also answer some questions that many of you have. So if you have questions, submit them on whatever platform you're on. You can also email them to us at support@odyssey.com, and we'll put them on in the lineup for another upcoming episode of Whisky Wednesday.
Well, this morning we were kind of talking about morning routines, kind of people have different routines. What time they get up? Do they work out in the morning? Do they eat breakfast? So I was just thinking, well, what's your morning routine, and kind of compare it to kind of what we do and what other people do.
So I have a real specific morning routine, right? So my morning starts off, I don't ever set an alarm. I haven't set an alarm for I bet 15, 20 years now.
I got to set an alarm. I'd sleep all morning.
Yeah. So I'm just a morning guy. I wake up early. I go to bed early though. So it's not like, I'm one of those guys that's in bed by 9 every night if I can, right? Yeah. And so I wake up every morning somewhere between, 4:45 and 5:15, usually right around 5 o'clock. And Teresa and I get up, we have an hour of coffee because with the kids now, it's hard for us to really connect at nights. And because we're both going different directions a lot of times, that's kind of our time together is we have couple cups of coffee before we do anything else. It takes us about an hour. And then I hit the gym. We have a home gym, so I don't have to drive anywhere. I go downstairs and we do the morning workout and we're here by 8:30 or 9. So it's
That's awesome.
Same thing every morning. Not a lot of variety. How about you?
Conversely, quite different than yours. I'm kind of a sleep-in guy. Got to set an alarm. I think everybody should sleep till at least the 7 o'clock. Anything before that seems crazy to me.
Okay. All right.
All right. I get up. I do get up about 6:30. I've implemented a new routine where I'm going to get up 6:30. I'm going to work out, have a quick breakfast, and then head into the office. So yeah, that's pretty good. It's hard for me to work out in the morning. This old body needs a little bit of a warm up. So but I'm gonna commit to doing that.
It's funny. I don't like ever working out, but if I don't work out in the mornings, I won't work out. Right. The day gets away from me, and I just don't do it. So. Yeah. I'm not really you always hear about the guys that are like, oh yeah, I'm the 5 a.m. club and everything else like that. That's not really why I do it. I think that you can have a routine that works whether you sleep in a little bit later or get up earlier because you stay up later than I do too. So you figure out what works for you to kind of hit the points in the day that are priorities. And for us, having some time with Teresa is a priority. Making sure that I'm working out is a priority kind of sets me up for the day. I get really tired if I don't throughout the day if I don't do that stuff. So that's where.
Well, and you feel like you accomplished too. I think working out in the morning, at least you've checked that box and you've accomplished something. Whereas trying to get it in, you've fallen into the habit of trying to do it later in the afternoon, in the evening. It just doesn't done.
Happen.
It's just too hard. Happen. Moving on. So you had an amazing webinar this last week. We had several hundred people on there. As we do often, we every couple months we have a webinar. It's topic based. We have something we talk about. And one of the topics that really kind of resonated on this webinar was don't sit on the sidelines. Don't sit on the sidelines and wait and watch and see what happens with anything, with the market, with interest rates, with pricing, with anything. It's about taking action. It's about making a decision and let's do something. Whatever that is, let's do something.
Well, one, it starts with looking in the mirror and realizing what holds us back, right? And so really when I really start talking about this and when we coach as many people as we've coached and we've had the pleasure and being part of a lot of people's different journeys into lifestyle financial freedom. I mean, we've got, thousands of people now in our paid mastermind, let alone all the people that we help run on different webinars and, events that we speak at and everything else. And you start to find these very clear things that hold people back, right? And it's not what most people think it is. And that's what the point of what I was saying is people get comfortable sitting on the sidelines. I always say people think that the challenges that hold them back are going to be all these different outside things that are going on. The challenges that hold you back is that you're getting really comfortable sitting on the sidelines. And so I want people to think about that. Are you comfortable not taking chances? Are you comfortable sitting on the sidelines and waiting for something to happen to you, or watching and waiting for the markets to change, right? There's really three things. It's kind of like an onion. And I always kind of write it up as like a stop sign, because it stops you from where you're at right now, where you want to go. And that gap is, most people start with these outside influences and outside forces and circumstances beyond their control, right? We always want to say, well, it's not my fault. It's beyond my control. Yeah. And those outside forces are things like the market in our world, the interest rates, you know, the market saturation, supply going up in short-term rentals. But it doesn't matter what world or outside forces you're talking about. There's always these outside forces. And typically, as humans, and we all do it, so I'm not pointing fingers. I do it just as much as everybody else does it. I just want to try to be aware of it. Is whatever I am blaming, I'm giving that power to basically dictate my future, right? Am I going to let outside circumstances dictate my future? And so I say, no, I don't want to do that. Well, the next layer comes a little closer to us, and we start to blame other people. We start to say, well, you know, my spouse doesn't want to do that, or they don't like that, or my business partner doesn't like that, or my friends, or all these other people. So we start to point the finger to other people, and we have to ask ourselves, am I going to give the power to my future to somebody else? The answer should be no. And then that third layer is the hardest, which is your own fears and doubts and insecurities. And that's really hard to look in the mirror and say, I'm the reason why I'm not moving forward. And don't let your fears and doubts and insecurities allow you to sit on the sideline. Because when you start to get comfortable with sitting on the sideline, and you get comfortable by blaming outside circumstances, blaming other people, or allowing your doubts and fears and insecurities, what happens is you just stifle all growth. You just stop it, right? That's what I was challenging people, is that their biggest problem, in my opinion, is not what most people think it is. It's that they're comfortable sitting on the side. And we're in a time and there's always these different times and seasons. And we're going into the holidays. This is a prime example of what we call separation season, right? This is a prime example of when we look and say, these outside circumstances are what I'm going to wait for before I move forward, right? I'm going to take my foot off the gas pedal, and I'm going to hit the brakes a little bit during the holidays. It's the fourth quarter. How about actually keep the foot on the gas pedal and accelerate through the fourth quarter? Everybody have amazing momentum when everybody else hits it at the first of the year, and you're just flying past them. I mean, you hit the first of the year going 90, and everybody else is starting to say, okay, now you need to start working again. You separate yourself from the pack, but what really you're separating yourself with is who you are today and who you're going to be in the future. And you're either going to say, okay, I'm going to continue to grow. I just was posting on Instagram the other day, because I'm trying to become an influencer, for hell's sakes, you know, like all these
social media. You are an influencer. Don't pretend you are one.
Right. So anyways, my influencer hat came on, and I was saying, I was doing a post of what are three things I wish I could tell my 20-year-old self? And that was one of them, is take more chances. Things are going to work out, or they're not going to work out. I mean, you have two options, right? It works or it doesn't work. Either way, you're fine, right? And we think that things not working out are going to be these big setbacks. And if you think about all the things in your life that didn't work out, some of my best successes came from when things didn't work out. Right? Either way, you're going to grow. If you take a chance and it works, awesome. If you take a chance and it doesn't work, you learn what didn't work, and you're that much closer to it working next time. And so, that's where, and I can get long-winded on this, and I'll try to keep it short, because I know these topics we're trying to get, really, really focused in topics on this with these conversations. But it's hard for most of us to look in the mirror and say, who am I really giving power to? Outside circumstances. Who am I really letting dictate my future? Am I going to let my future be dictated by what the hell's going on the outside influences with elections and politics and interest rates and markets and recessions? No, you can succeed in any environment,
as long as you're committed to
there are people that succeed in every single environment, and most people that succeed at a high level, they have to succeed in many different environments, not when things are always going their way. So am I going to allow that to dictate my future? No. Am I going to allow other people to dictate my future? Maybe, maybe not. I hope not. And so the only person that can dictate my own future is me, and I can't let my doubts and fears and insecurities stop me, because we all have them. There's nobody on this planet that is not scared to death at times. There's nobody on this planet that is not doubting the next move that they're making, right? And so just being able to think and really challenge yourself and realize what's stopping you from really living the life you want to live. And that's what we were talking about last week with a lot of people, was don't get comfortable sitting on the sideline, right? A lot of people get really, really comfortable sitting there watching life happen. And that's the big challenge that I have for most people, and what we were talking about last week.
Well, and I think it's people are either going upward in a trajectory that's going up or they're going down. It's never really, you're never really just stable and flat. You're either going up or you're going down. And so people have to decide, are they going to, if they do nothing, then that means they're going down. If they're doing something, that means they're going forward. I talked to a guy yesterday, great guy, and he said, hey, I talked to Vodacy about 2 years ago and I was considering getting in the game and I just wasn't sure. And he's back on the phone with us 2 years later with the same conversation and the same decision of should I get in the game or not. So absolutely, you should get off the sidelines, get in the game, make a decision. And a decision can be no, but don't just keep thinking, should I do it or not? Let's get in the game and make it. And by the way, you are an influencer because I had a buddy that texted me this weekend and said, dude, your social media stuff's killing it. I see it all the time. It's awesome. So, I'm not sure he's our age. So I'm not sure what an influencer he is, but at least he notices and he texts us. So you're doing good.
All right.
So.
We'll take that. We'll put that on my title. Influencer.
All right. Let's get a couple questions. We have a couple member questions, or not member questions. Well, maybe they are. We're not sure. They send them to us on Instagram and some of our social media outlets. The first one is, do you suggest purchasing a short-term rental even if it is a break-even property? Obviously, everybody wants to create some passive income and make money monthly on their investment. But do you suggest that's a good investment to buy a break-even property?
100% yes. This is a big misconception and a belief that I have that maybe a lot of people don't. They chase very specific returns. But there are, with short-term rentals or any other investment, if you could buy an investment property every single year for the next 5 years or 10 years, and you didn't make a dime in cash flow, but somebody else paid for those, somebody else was able to pay down that mortgage and buy an asset for you that you didn't have to put any money into, you didn't make a ton of cash flow, would that be a good investment? When I ask that,
absolutely.
When I ask it at seminars and workshops, and when we're speaking, everybody in the crowd raises their hands and they say, yes, I would do that. However, so many people will not buy break-even properties. If you can buy quality assets that somebody else buys and pays for you, why wouldn't you do that? Your life in 5 or 10 years is going to be completely different. And the options that you give yourself, the opportunities that you have based on those assets and that portfolio that was grown and paid for and built by somebody else that you maybe didn't even cash flow a ton, because eventually you will. That's why there's a lot of wealth to be made with break-even properties. We buy break-even properties on a regular basis. We don't plan on them being break-even forever, but there are times where we underwrite them, especially in an environment right now where prices are high, interest rates are high. They might underwrite at a break-even. However, that's just on a cash flow perspective, right? Remember that real estate has these things called tax advantages, depreciation, appreciation. All of those things start to stack in your favor over time, paying note pay down by somebody else. And in our game, short-term rentals, personal use, right? What if I could have a portfolio of vacation homes across the country in quality areas that somebody else is paying for that I get to use for the next 3 to 5 years, and I'm not even making that much cash flow? Would that be a good deal for somebody? For me, it is. If you've got better options, maybe there are, and doesn't fit your property goals.
Buy a property a year for the next 5 years. At the end of those 5 years, you have 5 properties that you own that are most likely for sure appreciated. And now you're creating generational wealth and a portfolio through real estate and short-term rentals. Absolutely a great answer. And I think people overlook that because they always just think, I need money and
I'm chasing the cash on cash return. I'm chasing cap rates. I'm chasing this one thing because I want to replace this income. Well, guess what? If you're disciplined in buying a property every year, even if you buy break-even properties every year, I promise you, when you're buying quality assets in 5 to 10 years, your life is going to be completely different than what it is today, with the opportunities and the money and the wealth that you built.
Well, and going back to our first topic is getting off the sidelines. You look back, 5 years ago and say, man, I'm glad I started this program and this process because, wow, look what I've done so far. So, great. All right, next question. Last question. This is from Steve, and he said, I have heard invest now, buy later is a strategy to grow generational wealth in short-term rentals. Is this correct? So he's talking about investing now, buy later. Exactly. Let's kind of break that apart and see what do you think he means on that?
Yeah. So I think you mean, Steve, I think you're referring to the concept and the idea that, hey, I'm going to not buy the toys right now. I'm not going to buy my big house. I'm not going to buy my cars. I'm not going to spend my money on all those things right now. I'm going to defer that, and I'm going to take my money and my disposable income and invest it. Yeah. And then allow those investments to help me buy those things later on. If that's what you're talking about, Steve,
I think so. Yeah,
I 100%
that makes
agree.
Sense. Yeah, like and that's like creating the dream. You know what I mean? You're creating the dream that you can create wealth through investments now, and then later buy all the toys, the boats, the cars, the RVs, all that kind of stuff, right?
Because I don't care who you are, we're all limited on the amount of capital that we have to go invest or spend. Like there's 3 things you can do with your money. You can save it, put it under the mattress. You can invest it into something that's going to create something down the line, right? You're investing your money, or you're going to spend it and you're going to buy stuff.
Right.
And so that buy and spend and buy right now is, do you defer buying for investing? 100% I would, right? If I want to go buy something, like this year we started talking about we wanted to buy a plane, but I didn't go say I wanted to just go buy the plane. I said I need to go now find 1 or 2 assets that I can invest in that will have enough cash flow and passive income to buy my plane. That's the strategy that we have. If I want to go buy a new truck or anything else, we always do that. We always say, okay, if it's going to be X amount for this new thing that I want to buy, that's not an investment, I buy the investment to pay for that new purchase. Yeah. So Steve 100% would do that. 100%. It's a great strategy. Most people don't have the discipline to do it. But again, if you do that for the next 5 years, all of a sudden your life is completely different.
Good. Yeah, no, I think that's exactly what he was talking about. So, well, good episode today, buddy. I think it was super topic based. I think there was some really good insights and advice to everybody out there listening to us. So great being with you, and I appreciate it. So
let's wrap this one up.
Yeah.
Those of you that are joining us, we always appreciate it. You guys know that I ask for 2 things at the end of every episode. And the first one is, if you got any value out of this, you liked it, share it with somebody you think might get value from it. If you have more than 30 seconds, leave us a review on whatever platform you're listening on. If you don't have 30 seconds, at least give us a thumbs up and a rating on there. We really, really do appreciate it. Those things help us build the show. And then the final thing, and the most important thing, is to go pick 1 thing that you can do today to start building that life you don't want to take a vacation from. Cheers, my friends. Cheers, buddy.
Cheers.